Welcome to Proprioception, the real sixth sense, and the only show where you can sense the motion and position of your body parts without the use of vision. Let's meet our participants.
Take me home. Taller, I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good, I would call her. Wish I had a rabbit in a hat.
Alright folks, we're going to start the night off with some trivia. Contestants, what is the main influencing factor of proprioception? Bonus, if you can name 3 others. Jed.
Quiet eye!
No, Jed, that's completely wrong. Any others? Winston.
So the main influencing factor would be muscle spindles.
The other influencing factors would be the Golgi tendon organ, cutaneous receptors, and the vestibular system.
That's correct.
Of course it is.
Next question. What is a muscle spindle and what are its different parts? Jed.
Muscle spindles are sensitive to stretch and the rate of stretch. They are made of intrafusal fibers, which are non-contractile muscle fibers that passively lengthen and stretch with changes in muscle length. Afferent axons innervate sensory endings of the spindles and send feedback to the spinal cord. Sensory endings, which sense the length of intrafusal fibers, and extrafusal fibers that cause muscle contraction, they are parallel with intrafusal fibers.
Good answer, Jed. You're on the board. Let's move on to question 3. What do spindles do?
They alert the brain that there is stretch in the muscle, which in turn allows the brain to know how the body is moving without visual feedback through sensory input from the spindles. This occurs through stretch-sensitive ion channels that send action potentials through an influx of sodium ions. There is then an increase in firing rate proportional to how much the muscle is stretched.
Superb answer, Winston. We're moving on from trivia, and welcome to the old SC pathway speed round. Contestants have to list in order the events that occur from a stimulus in the muscle all the way to the cerebellum. There's no room for mistakes here. Let's get started. All right, time's up, contestants. Let's see what you got.
Somatosensory information carried by axons of sensory neurons of GTOs and spindles enter the dorsal horns of the spinal cord. Somatosensory information travels up the ipsilateral dorsal horn of the spinal cord until it synapses onto the second-order neuron in the segment of the spinal cord with Clark's nucleus. Second-order neurons travel up the dorsal spinocerebellar tract until it reaches the junction between the medulla and pons. Information enters the cerebellum via the inferior cerebellar peduncle. Some information decussates and travels to the contralateral S1 via the thalamus. Somatosensory information carried by axons of sensory neurons of GTOs and spindles enter the dorsal horns of the spinal cord. Some somatosensory information decussates to the anterior spinocerebellar tract. Second-order neurons travel up the anterior spinocerebellar tract until it reaches the junction between the medulla and pons. Somatosensory information decussates again and enters the ipsilateral cerebellum via the inferior cerebellar peduncle.
For our final challenge, it's time for our participants to show off their proprioceptive skills. Each contestant will have their arm moved, and they must match the movement with their opposing arm. And to really show everyone at home how stretch receptors affect proprioception, is all done both with and without visual feedback. Let's begin. This challenge shows us how the loss of visual feedback creates larger discrepancies between the right and left hand, forcing the contestant to rely solely on their proprioceptive skills to match the drawing. However, there still are similarities in the drawings without visual feedback, showing how well our spindles can communicate with our brains in regards to the location and movement of our body parts. And now a quick word from our sponsors.
Have you recently suffered from a stroke? Do you struggle with balance and want to work on your lower limb proprioception? Do you struggle with any of the following? Avoiding unforeseen obstacles while walking? Breakdancing in the dark?
Oh!
Juggling with your eyes closed? Boy, do we have the solution for you. With our new patented item, the Wobbly X Pro, you can train your brain today. What you see happening to our patient right now is that the exercise he is currently doing is eliciting a response from the nervous system in order to counteract external stimuli and maintain dynamic balance, all on the Wobbly X Pro. Isn't that incredible? And for just $124.99, you can have your Wobbly X Pro today.
Disclaimer: research is inconclusive on the ability to train proprioception with proprioceptive exercises. However, evidence exists of the benefits to proprioceptive ability from general exercise and sport-specific training. And welcome back. Now's the moment we've all been waiting for. The winner of proprioception, the real sixth sense, is... Jed! Yeah! Congratulations, Jed.